Over the past year, pet sales have soared. It's thought the UK dog population alone has gone up by at least 10% during lockdown, now totalling more than 11 million. Wow.
And while most people have used the extra time at home to bond with their new pets, many environmentalists are calling for people to stop having pets altogether because that would save the planet. Going to debate that in just a moment. Kira Durkin has the details.
We're a nation of pet lovers. More than half of us have one. But did you know our furry friends are contributing to climate change? Some researchers have found the eco-paw print of a dog is twice that of a typical SUV driven for 6,000 miles a year. The food for one pet pooch emits nearly twice as much carbon the average UK household uses in a year for electricity. And according to research by the Victoria University in Wellington, a cat's eco-footprint is roughly the same as a small car. Cat litter is also full of mineral-based products which are harmful to the environment, and the growing demand for plastic toys also contributes to environmental damage. But it's not just our pets. A single cow produces up to 120 kilograms of methane per year, and there's around 1.5 billion cattle worldwide. And it's this methane that's more damaging to our climate than the carbon dioxide produced by cars. So, is it time that we give up our pets in order to save our planet?
Joining us now is environmental artist Donica McCarthy, along with TV presenter and environmentalist Julia Bradbury. I'll come to you first, Donna, about this. I mean, Donica, sorry, you can't seriously be saying that pets are comparable with SUVs. Is that absolutely true? And we should be not replacing our pets when they pass away?
Well, there was a study done in the journal Biosciences last year in 2019 that stated the carbon emissions from the average dog is equivalent to two households' electricity for a year. So we do have an issue here of carbon emissions associated with our pets. And so, like everything else, you know, cars are convenient, flights are convenient, cats and pets are nice to have, but we have to think of the consequences behind them.
Yeah, but what are the consequences of what you're saying? I mean, people love their pets like members of their family. You know, we're a drain on resources as well. So, you know, this has implications for everyone, doesn't it?
Sure. It's about love, isn't it? Behind that loving cat or dog that we have, there's a whole ocean of cruelty, whether it's the destruction of rainforests for the meat, the destruction of the seas for the fish to feed our cats. And the real problem is the numbers.
Yeah, but Donica, my point is you could be talking about human beings as well. I mean, you know, it's one thing to give up your car, but you're not going to give up a loved member of your family, which frankly is what people consider cats and dogs.
Well, if we love our members of our family, if we love our kids, do you not accept we have to look after the climate crisis?
Firstly, I want to look after my kids and my pets. That's quite
shocking. That's quite shocking. Do you understand the level of crisis that the carbon emissions are currently in the planet?
You think I shouldn't be looking after my children and my pets?
I'm saying that to look after and love your children, you have to look after your carbon emissions because we are in an emergency. Even the government accepts we're in an emergency. The scientists have said we've passed the safe tipping point. This may mean by the middle of this century, when our kids are just around 30 years old, they may be facing a planet that's facing starvation, floods, and climate destruction. We are in an emergency. We have to wake up to the seriousness of it.
But it shouldn't have to be one or the other. And what Susanna is saying, you wouldn't say, well, OK, I care so much about the climate, I'm not going to no longer care about my children or have children or look after my children. You can do both things. And if we're going to say that pets are like our family members, and they are family members, you know, then why do we have to choose? Why can't you have pets and just also do what you can?
We can give up a car, we can give up flights, but we can't give up something that we consider as close to us as a child, a pet.
Well, I'm sorry, you keep equating a pet dog or pet animal with a human being, and that's actually quite anthrocentric. We have to accept that our selfishness in keeping these animals and pets cooped up, locked up, involves a massive amount of cruelty. Take, for example, a parrot. Normally, it is a social animal, lives with 30 to 40 other parrots. But when a human being has it caged up in a cage, it receives maybe 15 minutes of love a day. So the fact is, many millions of cats
so
are
look
cooped
after
up.
them better then. I mean, I can understand that. But actually, let's talk to Julia Bradbury. Julia, you unfortunately have just lost a dog, a pet, a beloved pet. I mean, people do feel this. This is a different bond, isn't it, than you have with your car or with your annual holiday. And I know you're an environmentalist. You care very much about the planet, but not at the expense of your pets.
I do. I do. First of all, I'm grateful that Donica has raised an important issue. It's something I think that we perhaps haven't thought about a lot, which is what impact are our pets, our domestic pets, having on the planet. And there are things that we can do to mitigate that. So, for example, a big problem with domestic cats is they kill birds. And this is something that owners are concerned about as well, because the birds get brought into the house. And I'm sure cat owners at home will have experienced this. There are things that you can do to try and prevent that and to try and reduce those numbers, so you can keep them inside at certain hours, like before sunset and after sunrise. Put on a brightly coloured collar on a cat can help the birds escape, because they react to colours, and you can neuter your cats as well. So there are things that we can do. We can look for plastic-free packaging when it comes to feeding our cats. There are things that we can do to mitigate the impact of our pets. I think something that Donica is missing here when he's talking about the bond that we have with cats is and with dogs and our pets. They aren't just about being an extension to us. It's not just an anthropomorphic, we want to look after something. Sometimes they have a very real important value in our lives that helps our mental health. And also, what do we do about guide dogs? Do we just get rid of all guide dogs who are helping people who are visually impaired? What do we do about special medical assistance dogs? I have a friend who has a neurological condition, and accidentally she found out that her dog can work out 5 minutes before she has a blackout. He knows when that is coming, and he calls the alarm. She can let her friends and family know, and then the dog protects her. That's Barna and Emily. It was an accident that they discovered this. It has been life-changing for her.
Animals yes, absolutely. Animals have special powers. Now, Donica, as Julia was saying that, you were shaking your head. So do you have special exemptions for those pets that have a role?
Absolutely. I'm not saying people go out tomorrow and kill all of their pets. What I'm saying is that ideally, if you don't need your cat or your dog for mental health reasons or for blind people, you should seriously consider not replacing your cat when it passes away.
OK, but Julia makes that point about those specific animals. I think everybody who has a pet would say they provide some kind of benefit to them. You know, whether that's a mental health benefit, whether that's an exercise benefit, you know, that all pets have that role.
Well, people argue the same, that the cars are really useful, and flying around the world is really useful. What we need to do is to think in an emergency. We have to look at essential needs and essential requirements. And for
Monica,
people with mental health...
Can I assume that you have no pets?
I don't have any pets, but I have had a pet in the past. And as regards,
what did you feel, and what was your bond like with that pet?
My partner had a pet for 3 years, and I noticed that when my partner was out, the dog slept all day. Mm-hmm. We took him for a walk in the morning, took him out in the evening. When we visited his parents in the countryside, the dog absolutely abandoned us and was mad with energy, running around the other dogs all day long. And what I realized that day was that millions of dogs are cooped up in urban homes and pining away in horrendous lifestyles. They are pack animals. And so what I'm saying is that we need to look at a proper, responsible way to dealing with pets. And I would argue that most people don't need a pet.
Zozia on Twitter has said, I'd literally give up humans before my pets. I mean, I wonder, Donica, if that's slightly what you're suggesting.
I wonder what she means by give up, but...
Donica, did you decide to let the dog go to a different home, or did the dog leave you?
No, we separated. My partner took the dog with him, and I resolved that day never to replace it. And just going back to the pleasure of animals, during lockdown, I live in central London. I had a nesting pair of dunnocks in my garden with 4 nestings. It actually provided a huge amount of comfort to me during lockdown. And then one day, as I was reading my book, I heard a screech, and the cat was eating the four nestlings, and I lost them. 23 million birds are lost to cats every year in the United Kingdom. If you love wildlife, you shouldn't have this massive number of dogs and cats in British homes.
I just wondered, Donica, whether you're making an argument for better pet ownership rather than an argument that we should not have pets for the sake of the environment, because I think those are two different arguments.
I think you need to do both.
I had a very similar incident in my garden recently.
Current pet, but you also need to actually consider not replacing the pet when it passes away. Julia made some good points about how you can actually improve your current pet ownership. You can actually now get pet food for cats that's based on insects, that doesn't involve dead fish or dead meat. You can also get more environmentally friendly cat litter and things like that. And make sure your dog during nesting season isn't allowed to run around, because they're destroying our ground nesting birds at nesting season, whether it's on the coast or national parks.
Okay, Julia?
I echo absolutely what Donica says there. I think the issue that we're going to have is are we ever going to have a sort of a mass giving up of our pets, where we go, actually, yes, none of us are ever going to buy any pets again. So I don't think it's a realistic thing to expect human beings to do, because it goes against our loving feelings towards our pets. And I think that's the issue. Yes, we can be more responsible pet owners, but I just can't see a workable, enforceable way of us all handing in our cats and our dogs and going, that's it, we're over, our relationship's over with these creatures. And I will just say again at the end about my friend who has this neurological condition. She didn't know, the family didn't know that the dog would have this positive impact on her lives and their lives, and it changed their lives. And sometimes you don't know how important the mental health or the medical assistance, or indeed dogs that are used for sniffing out crime as well, and illnesses that we know of. So I think this is a very complex area, and we can't just say let's get rid of all the pets.
Okay, Julia Bradbury, thank you very much. Donica, my advice to you, Donica, honestly, I really think you should go to your nearest rescue dog home and get yourself a dog. I really think you should, and take the dog out for walks. You'll be doing a good thing, because that rescue dog is in a home. You can't let them out in the wild now, so
could you make an exemption for a rescue on environmental grounds?
All I'm saying is people are replacing their pet. Obviously, going to a rescue home is the way to go. However, I'll respond to Anil. I mean, that would mean my carbon emissions from my house doubles for electricity by just doing that one act. Do you not care about the climate emergency? Do you not care about the millions of people in Africa who are at the moment having their homes flooded?
Yeah,
do you not care?
But look, as we've already said, we're running out of time. But it's possible to care about the climate and care about dogs. I think you can care about more than one thing.
So how do you eliminate the carbon emissions of the dog?
Well, go on, Donica. Go on. You can have the final word. Go on.
I'm just asking, how do I eliminate the carbon emissions of the dog?
Well,
I've got solar panels on my house.
The dog already exists, but it's just living in the rescue home at the moment. Anyway, Donica, thank you very much indeed. And Julia, thanks very much indeed. You can imagine what the viewers' response is. It's overwhelmingly no.